Good morning. Welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. Today is Thursday, November 10th. I'm Cara Falco.
And I'm Kristina Behr. On today's show, we'll tell you about the rise in car thefts in New Jersey and what could be done about it.
And later on, we'll also tell you about how drivers with autism could be eligible for a special driver's license. But first, let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta and get a check of that forecast. Boy, what a difference Tuesday made. It was like whoof, all at once.
So chilly after so much warmth over the weekend and Monday. Yeah, we flipped the switch over to fall, and it feels even chillier in some neighborhoods here across New Jersey with temperatures that were down in the freezing territory. Some frost and freeze advisories earlier this morning. Now you see temperatures have warmed a little bit back into the 40s right now, 45 degrees up in the northeastern corner of the state. But there's this pink area just offshore, and that shows that there's a gale warning for some very gusty winds, and that is a result of the remnants of Nicole, which comes up our way a little later on this weekend. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. We start off today with temperatures that begin in the 60s. It is a cool start to the day, and as temperatures will climb up to about 66 degrees, anticipate those mostly sunny skies to prevail. Then the clouds take over, and with a little more cloud cover by the end of the day, our highs hover in the low 60s throughout this evening, but it will feel cooler with some rain moving in for tomorrow. We'll talk more about that and let you know how much rain and if it impacts the weekend weather. That coming up with a look of Don Smith's moon pictures of the lunar eclipse. Those are pretty cool. I'll show you those in just a few minutes.
Can't wait.
Is that the official title for Don Smith's moon?
Don Smith's
Yes,
moon.
that's what I say. That's the November one, the Don Smith moon. Yes, I think that's accurate. Mike, thanks so much.
And speaking of Don Smith, let's get a check of the roadways with Don. How are you looking out there, Don?
Yeah, thanks, Kristina. Good morning, Cara. Good morning, Mike. That was exciting to see early on Tuesday morning, I believe that was. It's been a blur this week, but getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to see the eclipse, but it really was definitely something to see. So it'd be great to see those pictures later on in the show. Let's get you over the maps. Unfortunately, what you're seeing is a lot of brake lights here at the George Washington Bridge. Still upwards of an hour here for the upper and lower. We had some earlier issues in the city. I just haven't really recovered over the last hour to hour and a half since about 7 o'clock this morning or so. Still almost an hour at the Lincoln. A lot of that volume's kind of filtered down to the Lincoln. Now, as we look at the Holland Tunnel, roughly about 25 to 30 minutes there. Now, as we go to the maps, it's fairly lighter today because today, tomorrow is teachers' convention for the schools. So all the schools are closed, public schools, that is, throughout the state because of the teachers' convention. So, and then tomorrow is a holiday for a lot of municipalities. State workers are off with Veterans Day. A lot of businesses are off. So some may be getting away for a long weekend. But we still have a little congestion on 208 getting to Fairlawn Avenue, Route 4 going east at Hackensack Avenue. That's still a bit busy. Again, you can see this George Washington Bridge. We're still back to the turnpike here heading north of Route 46. So it's just going to take some time for that to finally ease out. And then 21 is really busy here. Looks like we may have a crash being reported there. Just to get into the Garfield area just before Route 46. Let me bring up the incident page. Just a couple broken down vehicles here on the Parkway heading south in Woodbridge. But other than that, again, it is fairly light here this morning along 80, 287, 23, all the way out towards 80, 15, Route 46, and then westbound 24, a little heavy here at the mall at Short Hills. Your train situation, so far so good, on or close to schedule. That's what's happening here in the traffic center. About 15 minutes, take a look at Central and South Jersey. Cara, Kristina, back into you.
All right, Don, thanks so much.
Getting into our headlines today, car thefts are on the rise in New Jersey, and Governor Murphy is calling for state lawmakers to take action.
The efforts to grow the state police's auto theft task force, to give it greater ability to investigate and disrupt the car theft rings, which are at the heart of the current trend. The task force has been able to add new detectives, and under Attorney General Matt Plotkin, the Division of Criminal Justice has added additional prosecutors to quickly bring perpetrators to justice.
And Murphy is calling for policies like harsher policies for repeat offenders for those who don't comply with catalytic converter guidelines. The governor also wants to ban the possession of common auto theft tools and expand monitoring and house arrest for car theft suspects. The state police say that almost 14,000 cars have been stolen so far this year, a 14% increase this year. That's intense.
Learn how to drive a stick. It's not going anywhere.
That's true.
It's only 7% of the country can do it.
That is the solution.
No, don't leave your keys in the car. That's really. I feel like that seems to be the biggest one that where people, because they have those fobs now, and it's, but the car will turn up. My car will turn up. That car and the fob are like.
So I mean, common sense, right? Don't leave it in the car and lock your doors at night. I mean, it's all the people are very trusting. I feel like too.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna steal my car. Yeah, they will.
Yeah. yes, they will.
They
will. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the other big story this week. Elections, and the election officials had to count ballots by hand after voting machines in Mercer County suffered from glitches on election day. Towns like Robbinsville reported issues with both printing and scanning the ballots.
Yeah, in a tweet, State Attorney General Matt Platkin assured voters that anyone who had filled out a paper ballot would have their vote counted. So hopefully,
some ballots are now missing. This is according to him. Election officials are saying, not so fast. We counted all the ballots. So now there's this conflicting argument saying that some are missing, some are not. But I mean, what a fiasco. And
seriously.
In this day and age of technology, when, voting should be the easiest thing in the world, we're still going through all
right.
this.
And it's still a problem.
Yeah.
It really should. And I noticed even just between my town and my parents' town, the way that it was done was so different.
Yeah.
We had a completely different style of machine than they did. And I feel like it really should be
just
kind of a universally across the board, one thing that like the federal government handles.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's mind-boggling that we still can't. That we're still doing. We can't get our act together.
See, and my first election was the hanging Chads election.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'll ever get over it.
Right.
Speaking of votes, exactly. Seriously, the final votes are being tallied in New Jersey's congressional elections. The tightest race was in the 7th congressional district, where Republican Tom Kean Jr. defeated incumbent Democrat Tom Malinowski with 52.7% of the vote.
Yeah, the rest of New Jersey's 14 congressional districts remained under the control of the incumbent party, with Democrats controlling 9 of the 12 House seats after the midterms. It was an interesting race for sure. Here now to give us more insight on the midterms is our own Laura Jones. She's the host, of course, of New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones on New Jersey. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Laura.
Oh, good to see you both.
So, Laura, help us make it make sense.
Okay, I got
where were there any surprises in New Jersey's elections?
Right, really no big surprises. There was talk of the big red wave. That really didn't happen across the country. It didn't happen here in New Jersey either. As you mentioned, the congressional seats that were up, Republicans did pick up 1 seat. So we have 9 Democrats, 3 Republicans. The state's congressional districts, they were redrawn following the 2020 census. So Democrats, they really were concerned that they could lose more seats. Plus, traditionally, with the party in power in the White House, which is a Democrat, Joe Biden, they typically lose seats in the midterm, and they usually lose a lot of seats. That is very typical. It didn't happen, and it didn't happen in the biggest numbers that some were predicting. There was there were gains by the Republicans, but not as big as they thought. So at this point, and again, votes are still being counted, but it looks like Republicans are going to take control of the House, and they do have a path for the Senate. But the Senate, let me tell you, it could take a while before we're going to have those results. Especially Georgia, there's going to be a runoff because you have to get 51% of the vote. You can't just have a majority, right? And the runoff in Georgia, that I believe is scheduled for early December. So it could be a while before we know.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And one of the key House races we just mentioned here in New Jersey is between Malinowski and Tom Kean Jr. What is the latest there?
Yeah, well, Tom Kean Jr., the Republican, he did beat out the incumbent Democrat, Tom Malinowski. Tom Malinowski didn't concede right away on election night, waiting for the numbers to come in. And this was one of those districts that Republicans, they felt solid about winning. But if you remember last year in the gubernatorial race, right, the polls had it completely wrong. They thought Phil Murphy was going to run away with his victory, and Jack Ciattarelli almost beat him. So nobody was taking any votes for granted. Now, Tom Kean Jr., as they expected, they thought, this will probably be the district, the 7th congressional district, kind of part of the center of the state. The Democrats thought, well, this is probably going to be one that they lose, and they did. So Tom Kean is now headed to Washington, D.C. Now, analysts, some say he's got a bit of an opportunity, even as a freshman congressman, because Republicans will have the majority in Congress. And I recently spoke to David Wildstein. He's the editor of the New Jersey Globe. And here's what he had to say about Tom Kean Jr.
So suddenly you're going to have a greater number of Northeastern Republicans that are not, they're not modeled after, Alabama or Mississippi or Louisiana, and they're going to have to. I think a majority caucus is going to have to deal with that. And Kane has an opportunity to get a lot for New Jersey.
Right. So again, Republicans picked up a seat in Congress, and the rest of the incumbents, they held onto their seat, which a lot of times when you do redistricting, it usually does favor the incumbents. But that 7th congressional district that Tom Kane Jr. won, when it was redrawn, now there are more Republicans in the district than there are Democrats. So, but again, polls got it so wrong last time. Nobody was taking a vote for granted. Literally, Republicans banging on my door.
Why do we still put so much clout in these polls? I mean,
because they've been wrong for several years now, but like grossly wrong.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's something I've been talking about on my show, New Jersey Politics, about the reliability of the polls, and they aren't reliable. There was a day and age where when I was first starting out as a political reporter, my news director said, "Laura, you do not cover the polls, you cover the candidates.
Yes.
Let the pollsters cover the polls." But in this day and age of 24/7 news, you need something to feed the beast. And if you don't have a poll to talk about, then what are the analysts going to talk about? So it's a little bit of, they do serve a purpose, but they can impact people. Oh, well, you know what? It looks like this is going to be a runaway campaign. I'm not going to bother to get out to vote. So we'll see. We'll see if they change the way they also poll, because people, I've got my cell phone is still in Pennsylvania. I haven't lived in Pennsylvania for over 20 years, but I still get Pennsylvania pollsters calling me on the phone. So it's very easy, if people want to not be honest when they are polled about what they're going to do.
Right.
So yeah, that whole polling is going to definitely have to be looked at.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Laura, going forward now with this, particularly the 7th congressional seat switching over, what can New Jerseyans expect as a result of these elections?
Yeah, well, Democrats in New Jersey in general, they were really watching to see how if the big red wave was going to happen, because again, Phil Murphy was almost beat by Jack Chiarelli, and no one really thought leading up to that campaign that Phil Murphy, it was going to be a contest. So Democrats were very concerned. They wanted to take a close look at this to say, okay, now what do we need to do heading into 2023? Because yes, it's New Jersey. It's always an election year. So all 120 seats in the legislature they're up for re-election. So they were taking a look saying, all right, do we need to step back? Do we need to retool? Do we need to adjust our messaging? So that's what everybody was looking very, very carefully. Phil Murphy said, he really breathed a bit of a sigh of a relief that the Democrats didn't lose more in the congressional races. So definitely this will impact how the legislative seats are run and campaigned on. And there is talk about, because of Roe v. Wade overturned at the federal level, of putting it into the New Jersey Constitution, protecting a woman's right to choose. So then that would take that issue off the campaign plate. So it wouldn't switch with, if the Republicans have control, then it would not necessarily be protected. And if Democrats have control, then it would be, right? So they are looking to possibly put that into the Constitution, protecting a woman's right to choose.
Laura, you mentioned Georgia, of course, the runoff coming. I think it was December 6th, and just after Thanksgiving, early voting is going to take place. What are some of the things to watch in the other remaining races that are still counting votes as we speak? I mean, this is going to be a long process.
Yeah, it is going to be a long process. And I think what's important is to really take certain things with a grain of salt. And because you're going to get lawyers involved, you're going to get, all of the others involved. And then that's a lot of times when it can get nasty. And that's when it turns people off. And on the flip side, those who, especially like when you look in Mercer County, there are people who are really upset saying, hey, I don't know that my vote was counted, because if you submit a provisional, an absentee ballot or vote, you can go check to see if that vote was counted. And there are a lot of people saying, I don't know that my vote was counted, right? It used to be rare that we didn't know the election on election night, right? Cara, you mentioned 2000, the hanging Chad, right? Well, that was really rare. That was the first time it went to the Electoral College in who knows how long. Now it seems to be the norm. And then that's really when the pundits start getting out there, and then you get the lawyers involved, and then it gets nasty and takes a turn. So, take it with a grain of salt. But because the Senate is so closely divided 50-50, Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker, right? So there will be a lot of money put into these, recounts. Not necessarily the recounts, excuse me. If there is that runoff election, Herschel
Yeah.
Walker in Georgia, because Republicans do want control, and if that is the path, then there will be a lot of money spent there.
Oh boy, something to watch. Definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
It's like this or fight night. I mean, what are we going with?
We have a few more months of this, just when we thought we were done. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Laura
then,
Jones.
and then we're going to kick into then one other final thought here. People, because Joe Biden did in New Jersey, because Phil Murphy wants to know, and Senator Cory Booker want to know, because they are potentially going to run for president. Could run for president.
Oh man, New Jersey, it never stops. And Laura Jones, neither does she. Thank you so much, Laura Jones, New Jersey Politics on New Jersey. Thanks again for coming on with us this morning.
Good to see you.
So much going on. Donald Trump making an announcement next Tuesday as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that brings as well. I mean, it never stops, ever.
Certainly not here.
Politics, always. So coming up, we'll tell you about the sharp rise in gas prices across the state.
And we'll also give you the latest on a new proposal for a special driver's license for drivers on the autism spectrum.
And don't forget, you can always search for us or find us over on social media. Search for @NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and click follow.
Right now, families all across New Jersey are struggling with hunger, and their financial futures remain uncertain. You can be the hope for our hungry neighbors in need in a time when that need is still so great. The Community Food Bank of New Jersey, the state's largest anti-hunger, anti-poverty organization, is filling the emptiness caused by hunger with food, help, and hope. Go to cfbnj.org now to join us.
The New Jersey Hall of Fame is coming to you, celebrating our best and brightest, greeting guests along our Garden State Parkway through its 9 service areas, engaging travelers from our terminals to our transit centers, inspiring new generations as we move from town to town, and at New Jersey's hottest red carpet ceremony, inspiring New Jerseyans at our new home at American Dream. It's the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and it's where you want to be, because everyone needs a hero.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta for another look at that forecast. And I understand Mike has some beautiful pictures for us.
Really pictures of the full blood moon. This was during the lunar eclipse that happened the other night, and Don Smith took these pictures. Check them out. Very pretty. Right from a phone. I mean, who thought this day and age you can take astrophotography there with just what's in your pocket. So really cool stuff there. Nice job, Don. Beautiful way to start off a morning. You had to be up really early. Like this is a 5 a.m. eclipse that happened the other day. So for those of us that slept in, just look at these photos.
There you go. I was going to say, that
missed out.
That was
That's
my vote.
about it.
I was like, someone will have a picture.
Yeah. We've also got a bigger news for this weekend. There's the new NASA rocket is launching at 10:30 at night. So that's kind of, in the zone of if you're a night owl, you maybe get to see that. So lots of astronomy happening here with the weather.
I like it.
Well, we also have some rain coming. So there are some changes on the way. After beautiful sunny weather earlier this week, we had temperatures that were well above average. Well, the weather turns a bit milder today after the chill from this morning. However, that all ends with some rain. This weekend starts off wet with some rain later tomorrow night that lasts into early Saturday morning. However, the storm is basically out of here by 9, 10 a.m. on Saturday. We're back to sunshine, so we really clear it out very quickly. Beyond that, it gets a little chilly. Notice the deep shade of blue here across most of the U.S. That means that there's a below average temperature chance going forward, especially into next week. And you start to see that on the next few days. With the rain that comes in tomorrow, lasting through tomorrow evening and in through Saturday morning, I think most of the weekend is salvaged, but it does get chilly with temperatures by Sunday morning down in the 30s. Really cool weather on the way to start off next week into the following week after. So we'll talk more about that. We've got the track of where Nicole's remnants will go and how that impacts our weekend here in New Jersey. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks so much.
You bet.
All right, let's get another check of the traffic with Don Smith. A little bit lighter today, I must say. Dare I curse?
I was gonna say, you were saying the kids are off of school.
Yeah, they're off from school this week.
So maybe that's contributing.
Yeah, that's right. It's teachers' convention for all public schools. Maybe some private schools still in session, but yeah, the schools kind of rule the roads, here in New Jersey. So when they're off, it makes things a lot easier to drive. Let's get you over to the maps. Unfortunately, if you're driving into the city, though, living in New Jersey, pretty tough ride here. Still well over an hour at the George Washington Bridge now, ticking up a little bit more over the hour mark at the Lincoln, and about 25 to 30 there at the Holland Tunnel. We still haven't been able to shake out these delays. Now, if you were with us about 15 minutes ago, I told you about this accident here on 21. We got some more clarity now. It's northbound just before Route 46 in Clifton. We have everything shut down now. And this is just new here in the last couple of moments. A crash with injuries on 17 north, south of Route 80. So there is a camera here. Let me just, again, this just coming in. Let's just see if we can get something here, a visual as far as what this looks like, if they're able to see it. No, that's actually going the other way. Maybe it's the other camera here. But again, this is just was working. It was just north of Route 80. There it is, actually, right there. So you see it with the two left lanes shut. So this is just as you come underneath Route 80 here, passing the Bendix Diner, about by Williams Avenue and Teterboro Airport. So give yourself some extra travel time there this morning, trying to make your way into Lodi. Let's widen up the map here, and this is the delay on 21. Again, everything is still shut. It's really closer to Ackerman Avenue, so that's right before Route 46. But again, as we widen things up, and I promise you to look of Central Jersey now, just some traffic light delays on 19 through Linden and Rahway, but it really is fairly quiet out there on 78, 287. The Parkway is good, and we're just picking up some more delays here along Route 1 in Edison, just some traffic light delays and so forth. So again, for the most part, heading into Central Jersey, South Jersey, in pretty good shape, and your trains also are running on time. That's happening here in the traffic center. And yes, it was a lot of fun getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to see that blood moon. And actually, I have a regular camera, but the phone pictures are actually better than kind of the regular camera.
Crazy.
Go figure, right?
I need that phone because my phone does not take those kinds of pictures.
Well done, Don. Thank you. All right, so we've got some crazy video for you. A 30-year-old Cedar Grove woman is facing several charges after crashing into a parked vehicle in Verona while allegedly driving under the influence. The accident took place at about 1 a.m. on Grove Avenue last Sunday morning. In this video, you can see the truck she hits travels several feet from the impact.
So crazy. The woman was released into her family's custody after being processed by police. In addition to a DUI charge, of course, the suspect also facing other motor vehicle offenses. Luckily, no one was hurt in this accident, but just intense to see when it's on camera like that.
I'm amazed that she wasn't hurt in that because she hits that truck hard.
I mean, the whole front of her car is gone.
It's gone.
And that whole truck moved an entire, lane.
And talk about being lucky. Geez.
Crazy. Well, state lawmakers considering a bill that would give drivers on the autism spectrum the option to add a special note to their driver's license. That option would indicate to police that the driver has autism or another communication disorder.
So if passed, the bill would also provide guidance to help police officers effectively communicate with these drivers. The bill was advanced by the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee last week.
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
I think that's so interesting too, because sometimes you forget that there's nuance to all of that. And, particularly I think, when you're in a position of a police officer and you're interacting with the public in that way, you don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be important, coming from both sides, really.
For sure. Just more transparency would help everybody.
Yeah,
at this
absolutely.
Point. Yeah.
Still driving, but maybe not as much. Gas prices in New Jersey keep on rising sharply, going up 20 cents in the last week alone. AAA says the average price in the state is now $3.93, rising another 8 cents over the previous week. That's well above the average national price of $3.64.
I mean, analysts say supply shortages, of course, and rising oil prices, the main factors driving this increase. The most expensive gas in the state is in Somerset County. The average there is $4.01. I feel like I've seen it more expensive elsewhere too. But it's just like literally one day I went, it was like $3.15. And the next day it was like almost $4.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is happening?
What is happening? And why just us? Why are we so far above? Because typically New Jersey for a long time had a reputation of being the lowest.
Gas tax on top of the issues with the oil prices.
Yeah.
And so it all adds up eventually. When it goes up, it's, everything goes together.
Let's buy a bike.
Crazy. Seriously.
Start pedaling.
Seriously, start getting in shape
There you
while
go.
doing it. Listen, we're excited for our next guest. You might know Joe Gorga from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, of course, along with his wife, Melissa. And now he's coming to the Hackensack Meridian Health Theater with his own stand-up comedy show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Joe's here with us now to tell us a little bit more about the show. Good morning. Thanks for coming on today.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for
Yay.
having me.
We're excited for you to be here. We're excited to hear about this stand-up comedy tour. What went into planning this?
When? Oh, I started way before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we slowed down for the pandemic, but it's been great. It's doing great. I love it. I came out with this comedy special because of traveling. I can't travel so much with my children, with the sports and the activities. So the weekends are hard for me. So I said, let me come out with this special. And that's what's launching Friday night. And I'm doing a live show at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank. But you can stream it live all over the world from your TV, your phone, your computer. So I'm going hard.
All in.
All in. I love
All
it.
in.
So, Joe, before you got into TV and comedy, I mean, you worked in real estate. So how did you go from real estate into, that lead you into being a stand-up comic?
Well, I still do real estate. I still get up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I talk about that. I talk about my crazy life, how I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, my children, my wife. It's all relatable. That's why it's so funny. So I was always the class clown. Believe it or not, when I was young, I was so shy that I wouldn't come out of my room.
Oh,
My
wow.
parents-
What?
Yeah, if I had like friends that came over from my parents, up till I was in second grade, I would not come out of my room. That's how shy I was. And I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, look at me now.
On stage.
Stop. But so I just love to make people laugh. And Buddy Velasco, the cake boss, one day, I hang out a lot with him on Sundays. We have Italian Sunday dinners.
Oh,
And he
I
has a
love it.
large family. And he always hosts at his house. Has about 40 people that come. And I always make them laugh. And he's like, yo, you're so funny. He goes, you got to do stand-up. And we talked about it for a year. And then one day he had an agent call me. And here I am. This is how I got into the business. Yes.
The cake boss had an influence on you. That's amazing. Yes. You mentioned your wife, you mentioned your family. How do you come up with the material for the show? And will audiences be expecting you to talk Real Housewives issues?
Oh, yes. I talk housewife issues. You have to. The fans come. So I talk about my day when I wake up in the morning, and I can just make up something what happened today. That's how crazy my day is. And listen, I've been on reality TV for 13 years.
Wow.
And they edit a lot of stuff, but I talk about the real stuff. I mean, the real things between Melissa and I, like the real inside depth, our arguments, our fights, our intimate stuff. So, and I do talk about, obviously the housewives, things that happen throughout the show, or not too much, but enough.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what has been both Melissa's reaction to your material and also the producers? I mean, are they kind of do they kind of jump in and go, you can't say that one?
No, the producers, Bravo's been great because I know what to limit to. But Melissa was at first, she's like, absolutely not. You're not doing comedy. And the first time she came to one of the shows, her head's like this. She's down. But now she's used to it and she likes it. I mean, but she giggles, she laughs, and it's about her, and she really chuckles. You know what I'm saying? So, but she's still always worried because she's always like, what is he gonna say?
Right.
Yeah, because it's personal. I mean, comedy is very personal too. So, I mean, to get the laugh, sometimes you really have to dig deep, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Sometimes Melissa, I had to say that. We've had some arguments. She's like, don't you ever. And I go like this. Okay, I won't. Next show she's there, I say it.
And then you have to owe her something, right? Like a gift.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Here we
And
go.
I point her out. in the crowd. I say, she's gonna kill me. What are you gonna do?
So are you planning on taking this show on the road as well? I know you're starting here in New Jersey, of course. It makes sense. But will you add more dates and locations as the year goes on?
Oh yeah, I was in Florida. I've done a tour already. I can't remember. I've been to so many spots, but yes, I think we're going to hit the UK, Canada, all those areas. Yes.
That sounds
wow.
like fun. Where can people find out more about the show and to get tickets?
TheRealJoeGorga.com. You could download it there. You could stream it. Tickets for Red Bank is a Count Basie Theater. It's also Veterans Day, so I'm hosting all veterans. Whoever wants to come in the military, you're coming for free. So anyone out there, come to the show. You're in for free. If you're a military veteran, it's Veterans Day. I got you.
Oh, that's incredible.
awesome.
I got you. I don't care. And also, listen, I'm putting it out there. Anybody, nurses, doctors, anyone that works in the medical field because of COVID, I got you too. Come to the theater. Joe Gorga got you. Bring whoever you want. Free.
It sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun too. No table flipping though. No table flipping.
No table flipping. Got it. Yes, sir. Joe Gorga, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time. Good luck with the show. Break a leg, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So much fun. Awesome. Got to get tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great call out to just say, listen, you're a
Yeah, just
veteran, you're
come.
military, just come.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
That's incredible. So definitely take advantage of that.
Awesome. Well, up next, we'll tell you about the new grant for Newark artists who suffered a loss of income during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Plus a look at where some winning Powerball tickets were sold here in New Jersey, winnings of up to $1 million.
You can always find us over on social media. Search for @NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and click follow.
2020 felt like a dark tunnel, and while 2020 is over, the impact is not. The pandemic affected both our physical and mental health.
We started the Cody Fund for Mental Health to change lives, so we want you to know about NJ211.
It's a referral service for anyone in crisis, even children.
I'm living proof that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And it's not a train, it's help. It's NJ211.
Right now, New Jersey's youth are dealing with a lot. Growing up today, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but you're not alone. If you're worried about someone, reach out and point them to help if they need it. The New Jersey Department of Children and Families offers support to children and youth in crisis. Help is available by phone or text whenever you need it. Be there for a friend, and know where to turn for help. Suicide should never be the answer. Growing up can be hard. Getting help shouldn't be.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta. He's got a look at that weekend weather for us, and it's cold, Mike. It's cold.
It's going to be chilly. It gets warmer, I think, but there's some rain on the way. So kind of a mix of both. I have the fancy new weather graphics to show you to indicate where the remnants of Nicole will go. There were some pretty big gusts down in Florida. By the way, that rocket that NASA's launching on Monday, or at least scheduled to, is sitting out on the launch pad right now in those 85-mile-per-hour gusty winds. So there's Nicole slamming into the east coast of Florida, right by the Space Coast. If you're familiar with the area, over toward Vero Beach, down by the Space Center in Cape Canaveral. So that's where the gustiest of the winds are. Now, I'll put this a little further out in time, and you'll see that by the time we get to later on in the weekend, really as soon as tomorrow morning, a lot of that rain starts to work up in our direction. So that's the shade of blue and green you see here, and I'll freeze it right there tomorrow night. So we'll zoom on into New Jersey, and you can see that most of that wet weather is upon us by later tomorrow evening. The good news is that this system beelines out of here. It moves very quickly and really gives us a very pretty weekend ahead. So by the time we get to the early part of the morning on Saturday, we're just left with a few passing clouds, which is some great news, meaning that all of this heavy wet weather is gone by early on in the morning, and we're back to clear sky across New Jersey with that lovely, refreshing northwest wind. So we'll take it even going into the weekend. Now, if you're looking for some pretty foliage, you have to head down toward the coastline, because in early November, that's where we tend to see the best foliage here in New Jersey, right down there from coastal Monmouth and Ocean County, even headed over toward Atlantic and Cape May counties. I think that with most of North Jersey kind of done with the foliage scene, yeah, there might be a little bit more of the colors to see, but not really going to enjoy them, I think, until we get to early part of the week. So the 7-day forecast shows much cooler weather on the way. Even though the clouds clear out later Saturday, we've got a beautiful day on Sunday, but much chillier, 35 degrees on Sunday morning, only climbing to a high of 52. And get this, on Monday and Tuesday, we don't leave the 40s. That's some really chilly weather as we set up a sunnier but a much cooler start to next week. So some pretty chilly stuff on the way with highs that will be below average going into next week. Get ready for some cool weather, and at least you get to sport all of the fall accessories and the fall clothes that you've been waiting for. That wardrobe has been kind of packing its patience for the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
That's true.
I have a stack of scarves that need to be worn. All right, Mike. Thanks so much.
The roller coaster of weather continues.
Yes, that's the whiplash.
As we go, yeah, exactly. We're going to go to Don Smith on the roller coaster of the roadways. How are we looking, Don?
Pretty rough here. Good morning, Kristina. Good morning, Cara. Good morning, Mike. Let's get you right over the maps here this morning. We take you live into Lodi this morning. This is northbound on 17. This is kind of where it parallels and almost goes kind of northwesterly there at Route 80. This is just before the railroad tracks, if you're familiar with this section of Lodi. So we'll watch this in real time as the DOT is moving the camera around. So we still have the two left lanes are shut here this morning, just as it comes underneath Route 80. Again, those railroad tracks are up in this location right there. The camera is actually located on Route 80. But again, we are seeing this in real time. So they are still in the process, as we say in the traffic biz, they are in the process of clearing this up. Maybe that's a little bit better view for us. I can't really go full screen, but looks like the flatbed is on scene, and this one vehicle is still facing the other way. So unless they just turned it around to hook it up onto the back of that, and they're going to tow both out of the way. So I would say maybe this is subject to closure here. This is, again, only within the next couple of minutes here just to facilitate getting this vehicle out of the way as the DOT continues to move that camera around here this morning. So this, I don't know what that is, whether that's an ambulance or fire truck. There may be some guardrail damage. If there's not really a guardrail, but they're picking up something here along the bottom. So this could be more of an active scene as we continue through the morning rush hour here. So again, as you see now, it is kind of subject to closure as they're getting this vehicle, the ambulance, that's what that is, out of the way. So we'll go to the maps. Let me show you what that's doing to traffic. It's really backing up traffic back to Route 46, passing the Bendick Steiner, but it's also affecting westbound 80, the local lanes exiting for Route 17 at Paula Fly Road. So all told, this here could run you about another 15, 20 minutes or so. So again, give yourself some extra travel time. We go to the tunnel, still over an hour at the George, an hour at the Lincoln, about a half an hour at the Holland, and still, Central South Jersey is looking good because of the teachers convention. They're all down in Atlantic City, all the public school teachers for the rest of today and tomorrow and into the weekend. So that's making things a little bit easier for us on the roads, except for here at the Hudson River Crossings. That's what's happening here in the traffic center. Again, very busy for a Thursday morning. Well, last and final check in less than about 10 minutes. Cara, Kristina, I'll send it back to you.
Can't catch a break, Don. Thanks so much.
Well, you know what? Who caught a break? Somebody in California, because the Powerball jackpot winner came from Cali, but several New Jersey winners still walking away with a nice chunk of change.
Why is it always California? 3 New Jerseyans won the $1 million secondary prize. Listen, we'll take it.
I'd take it.
With the winning tickets being sold in Edison, Hightstown, and Merchantville, one lucky winner bought a $100,000 ticket in Wayne. 8 more walked away with $50,000. Jackpot, of course, for the drawing was a record high $2.04 billion.
It's mind blowing.
What is it like? The odds, though, like you have more of a chance of being struck by lightning.
And attacked by a shark simultaneously, I think.
Like that, there is a person that had that done.
Yeah,
like,
I just, it's incredible. Absolutely
good
incredible.
on them. I hope they do something good with the money.
It just feels like that's just so much fun to imagine. I think that's what makes it such a great story.
It was funny on that topic. There was a lotto, I think overseas. I don't know if it was in China or somewhere, and the person dressed up in a bear suit. because it was so much money to claim their prize. They didn't want their identity
revealed.
revealed.
Yeah,
I
I'm
dressed up in a bear suit.
Absolutely.
And just the idea of that in California happening, like, I'm hoping that happens.
Please.
Well, speaking of money, artists in Newark who struggled to make ends meet during the pandemic can now actually apply for a mini grant.
Yeah, so the Newark Arts Renewal Grant is now taking applications for artists to receive a $1,500 payment from the New Jersey Arts and Cultural Renewal Fund. Newark artists who want to apply can do so at newarkarts.org/renewal-grant from now until midnight next Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and again, Newark has such a rich history and a
Right.
community for artists in both Newark and Jersey
Right.
City. I think they
For sure.
really, they really kind of took, particularly the street artists, and said, listen, we'll commission you to paint on the buildings.
The
Just
murals.
don't, yeah. Like,
The mural project in Jersey City is huge right now. I
Yes.
mean, just gorgeous work.
Oh
You would
my God, this
never,
stuff is incredible.
you just like walk down a street and it's literally just an art gallery.
Arts, yeah, everywhere.
It's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
So we're excited for our next guest. The Team Winfrey Youth Foundation in Englewood provides educational and athletic opportunities for youth athletes.
And here now is their co-founder, Carl Winfrey. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Carl.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Carl, tell us the story behind the Team Winfrey Youth Foundation. How did you get this started?
Well, we got this started. My son, Juwan Winfrey, he was a football player. He played high school, college football, and he was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Denver Broncos in 2019.
Wow.
So, yeah, we was very fortunate. He was a late pick, 6th-round pick, but drafted and made the team. So we wanted to start a foundation that would help other youths in the areas of sports. And so we started a nonprofit organization, the Team Winfrey Youth Foundation, and we go around, we host clinics, camps, leagues, tournament, but we provide training and showcase opportunities for youth athletes, not just in football, but football, basketball, soccer, baseball, and we're growing.
That's amazing. I mean, you talk about sports, it's really sort of the whole student, right? It's not just sports, it's academics and everything combined. Is that what you're hoping to achieve with the foundation?
Yes. Our other focus in the education area is an area of financial literacy. We know a lot of youth coming up, they don't have the checking accounts, debit accounts, credit cards, but going forward, that's an area that kids and adults will need to be more averse in. So we've partnered with two banks, First Commerce Bank and TD Bank. They're banks who are supporting us, and we host financial literacy seminars for the youth athletes to come to, from time to time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that's so critical too, because especially, when you think about these young athletes who then do have the opportunity to go pro, and all of a sudden they are making
so much
astronomical
money.
amounts of money. But if you don't know how to manage it and what to do with it, you're not gonna. It's not gonna do you any good. So that's incredible.
Not at all. And I'll tell you, between us, Juwan, my son, his first job was when he got drafted by the Denver Broncos. His first paycheck.
Oh
was when he got with the Denver Broncos. But he didn't know about debit cards and credit cards. But he's maybe one of the few. But these kids, they definitely need to know, because a lot of them are going from poverty situations and low income to now making 6- and 7-figure money.
Right.
Yeah.
Major jump.
Yeah. And how to invest and do all of that. I mean,
Yes.
that's a whole different sort of language.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it serves you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Carl, what other opportunities do you offer for young athletes?
Well, we start with young athletes as early as 5 years old.
Wow.
Yes. Those who want to learn to play the game, especially in basketball and football. We have training, we have clinics, but mainly we have training. We have training on Fridays at a facility in Washington Township. We have the kids come up, but we host clinics. We go out and we do clinics at different schools. We did it in Englewood, we did it in Teaneck, we did it in Paramus. We host clinics to introduce basketball to the kids. And so those clinics are free. We host free clinics. And even Juwan camp we did for football this past summer. It was a free camp. We had 180 kids come out to the camp. They all had a good time. And we had couple former NFL guys, along with Juwan there. We had some great high school coaches come out to help the kids introduce the sport. And we had those who had experience. We gave them some more learning in the area of route running for the wide receivers and running backs.
I love it. It's not just about learning about the sport too. It's about, the team aspect and the camaraderie and being on a team sport. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the events that you have coming up too.
Woo, boy. Well, this past year we had a lot of events. We had some camps. We had junior NBA clinics. But this Saturday we have a high school basketball showcase. We have six teams, 3 games. We have a New York versus New Jersey high school basketball showcase. So we have 3 New Jersey teams and we have 3 New York teams that are coming to face each other. This is a preseason basketball showcase Saturday at Bethany Community Center. We also have on December 17th, we have a youth sports leadership conference that's going to be held at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And that is for youth athletes in the 5th through 8th grades. And these are athletes who are motivated to excel in sports, and whether it be basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, cheerleading, any of the sports. If you're motivated and you want to learn more, you want to learn about the process of going from a middle school athlete to a potential recruitable athlete, a college athlete. Well, we're gonna point it out to you. We can have a panel that's going to discuss the route. They can give you their experiences on how to become that athlete.
That's amazing.
We also going to have a topic covering non-athletic careers in sports, because everyone is not going to become an athlete there, but they still love the sports field. So there are other fields in sports, marketing, management, coaching, training, where that may be your forte in the future.
Right.
So we're going to have some panel members to discuss those areas as well.
That's amazing.
I think that's so incredible. And the fact that you offer it all for free for folks, I mean, that's also just wonderful. Where can people find out more information? And if somebody wants to participate or make a donation, where do we go?
Well, they can go to our website, the teamwinfree.org website. They can always email me at teamwinfreeyouthfoundation@gmail.com. On our Instagram, we have Instagram at Team Winfree Youth Foundation on our Instagram. I'll even give my telephone number, 201-878-8385.
Yay! There's multiple ways. We appreciate you coming on, Carl Winfree. Thanks again for spending a couple minutes with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Have a great weekend.
Yay!
That's so awesome. And it's so, and I love the financial literacy part. I think that's critical. And I love the non-athlete professional routes too, because he's right.
Not everybody's gonna
not
be able
everybody, there's 15 guys on the field at a time on a football team or a basketball team, 11 to 15 somewhere in there.
Right.
I'm not a sports
not
person.
So not everybody.
Our producer Chris is going to poke his head in here and correct me in 2 seconds. But
it's true. There's only so much room.
There's only so much room. But you can do. You can be the trainer or the ref or the manager or the PR person or there's so much behind the scenes that kids sometimes don't think of. And once you make them aware, it's like, oh, I love doing this now, but I'm probably not going to want to do it for the rest of my life, but I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's great.
Absolutely. All right, guys, coming up, we're going to explain how West Orange high school students are using artificial islands to keep a lake clean.
We'll also tell you about the Valley Breast Center's program for helping breast cancer survivors stay healthy.
And of course, you can always find us on social media. Search at NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Click follow.
Right now, families all across New Jersey are struggling with hunger, and their financial futures remain uncertain. You can be the hope for our hungry neighbors in need in a time when that need is still so great. The Community Food Bank of New Jersey, the state's largest anti-hunger, anti-poverty organization, is filling the emptiness caused by hunger with food, help, and hope. Go to cfbnj.org now to join us.
The New Jersey Hall of Fame is coming to you, celebrating our best and brightest, greeting guests along our Garden State Parkway through its 9 service areas. engaging travelers from our terminals to our transit centers, inspiring new generations as we move from town to town, and at New Jersey's hottest red carpet ceremony, inspiring New Jerseyans at our new home at American Dream. It's the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and it's where you want to be because everyone needs a hero.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has one final check of that weather for us, and it's cold and rainy, and then it's sunny, but still cold. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's going to be the back and forth sort of seesaw weather. We start off today actually rather mild, but the clouds roll in, the high thin variety, in advance of all of that rain that comes in throughout the day tomorrow and lasts into early Saturday morning. Good news is, certainly by late morning and definitely by noon Saturday, we're back to sunshine. And then a chilly breeze takes over, sending our temperatures into the 30s for Sunday morning, only rebounding to 52. Sunshine on Monday and Tuesday, but highs don't leave the 40s. So some pretty chilly weather on the way after another round of wet weather late tomorrow into Saturday. Enjoy the weekend because for the most part, it looks very pleasant. We've got more details, and stick around because for tomorrow's show, we'll give you the update on the drought situation, and it's improved a lot, especially with all of that recent rainfall. So some great weather going.
We can't possibly still be in a drought.
Yeah, exactly. After all the rain, I know.
All right, Mike, we'll look forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again.
Tomorrow.
All right, let's get one last update on the traffic with Don Smith now.
Yeah, thanks, Kristina. Thanks, Cara. Thanks, Mike. Let's get you back into Lodi because things have cleared up fairly nicely now going north on 17 here at Route 80. So you see all your travel lanes are open. We still have some delays behind this. So, don't get false sense here that it's still fairly heavy. The heaviest now seems to be on westbound 80 local lanes as you approach into Polyfly Road and the exit for 17, about exit 64. So it's going to come down, but give it probably another by 10 o'clock or so, another 15 minutes or so. I think most of this should ease out. But again, as you saw, that the crash has now been completely cleared. We've also got a situation here on Route 1, the ramp to 287 going north is a little sluggish. They just literally cleared up a broken down vehicle on this ramp, so that's out of the way. So it's still a little heavy. They may just getting on to 287 to take that off of the roadway. Let's just quickly widen up the maps here this morning. And for the most part, as we mentioned earlier in the show, that teachers convention is today, tomorrow, and a lot of businesses and the state offices are all closed for Veterans Day, the holiday tomorrow. So some may be getting out of town, making it a long weekend. But 208, it's just the long wait continues here. Thankfully, there's no school at Ramapo High School today. As you get into Cedar Hill Avenue up in towards the Wyckoff area, Ewing Avenue, the midday construction is going to be in full effect. And we'll take a look at Central and South Jersey, also seeing some road work now south along the Turnpike, getting into Interchange 11 on the truck side. And then Route 1 is still pretty busy with some construction out through the Old Post Road area in Edison. But it looks great here throughout Central Jersey, South Jersey, the Turnpike, the Parkway, 55. So get out and enjoy this great weather, as Mike had said. Unfortunately, really the toughest spot has been the Hudson River crossing. Still haven't recovered from this morning. Still about a hour for the upper at the George, about 30 to 35 at the lower, still 45 and coming down at the Lincoln, and about a half an hour at the Holland, and your trains are on or close. That's happening here in the traffic center of a terrific Thursday. Drive safely. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
All right. Thanks so much, Don.
So this is a cool story. Students at West Orange High School have completed work on 3 artificial floating islands at Vincent's Pond. The artificial islands are made of recycled materials and will allow aquatic vegetation to grow.
Yeah, they're not that big. They're maybe like this big, right? The islands are intended to serve as a sustainable solution to pollution from sources like storm runoff. It's a project that's been years in the making. Work was initially supposed to begin back in 2020, but was postponed, of course, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But yeah, I mean, I saw pictures of these things. They're like maybe that big.
But that's so cool.
Yeah.
And like the kids came up with this. And it's funny because it's a smaller scale, but that's something that they've done in Barnegat Bay as well, to get a lot of the oysters to go back to filter the water. I mean, it's just, if you can kind of give that native stuff a little spot to grow, a little zhuzh.
A little zhuzh.
It'll go.
Get it on its way.
Yes.
Yeah. The Valley Breast Cancer Center, we've talked about this before, is offering a program for breast cancer survivors. The SHINE program is aimed at helping survivors maintain healthy habits after going into remission.
So the SHINE program stands for Survivorship and Health Interventions in Nutrition and Exercise. And it has 3 pillars of nutrition, exercise, and community. And we have programs that we can go into that really get into all of those 3 aspects. And the community piece is so important because we know to make long-lasting lifestyle changes, you need accountability, you need a partner, you need a friend to do it with. So our goal is to build community programs that allow our survivors and thrivers to come together and work together to be as healthy as possible.
Breast cancer survivors often face additional health risks like heart disease. Even after going into remission, Valley also offers nutritionists and health coaches to assist patients with the program. I happen to be a health coach myself. I mean, I have the certification. I don't work as one, but it's so important. And cancer in particular really does respond to nutrition, lifestyle, the whole picture. So I'm so glad to see people taking that seriously now, because I think for a long time, especially in Western medicine, it was very poo-pooed that,
of course,
it's kind of hokey pokey stuff. And it's like, no, eat your vegetables. Nobody's kidding when they say that.
It's important. It definitely works. Yeah, it's a great program for sure.
Oh, good stuff. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching today. We so appreciate it. I am Cara Falco.
Yay, and I'm Kristina Behr. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.